Welcome to my new calculus channel. My name is John Gabriel, and I'm going to be resuming the series What You Had to Know But Your Ignorant Teachers Could Not Tell You. So in part 29, I'm going to discuss some very interesting works, the works of Archimedes, and theory about the parabola, and a lot of information about tangent lines and other interesting properties of the parabola. So I think what I'll be doing for the next few series is jumping back and forth to several of Archimedes' well-known propositions and explaining them in a way that's never been explained to anyone before. So let's begin. Now, the significance of a lot of these works is that Archimedes actually assumed some of these proofs, and they were never actually proved by himself. In fact, when Sir Thomas Heath translated it, he said, and in result, each of the aforementioned or each of the aforesaid theorems has been accepted no less than those proved without the lemma. So the Greek for this is Συμβαίνει δε των προηρήμενων θεωρήματων εκάστον μηδέν ίσον τον ανεύ τούτου του λίμματος αποδεδειγμένων πεπιστεύκαινε. So what that basically says is that these theorems were proved. And now if you look at this particular proposition 1, it's not clear at all. The proof is not clear at all. So it says, if from a point on a parabola, any point, a straight line be drawn which is either itself, so this is the point we're talking about, P, either itself the axis or parallel to the axis. So obviously PV here would be the axis if it's in the middle of the parabola. And if QQ, this whole line here, be a chord or a diameter of a parabola to the tangent at P, and meeting PV and V, then QV is always equal to VQ. So how do you prove that geometrically? Now with all the methods that we know today, we can easily prove this using calculus or the methods of calculus. But back in the time of Archimedes, these concepts were proved using geometry in a book called the Conics. Okay, so that book was lost, by the way, and it's not the Conics of Apollonius. It's another book, possibly written by Euclid or somebody before Euclid. In fact, it's called Stihia Conica Chrean Echonda Estan Apodixin. So this is a Greek here saying which of those works were referred to. Now, so this here is very hard to prove without Cartesian algebra and anything else. So let me show you now how I proved it using only geometry. So I actually tilted the parabola this way, and it's not easy to see that this broken blue line is equal to the broken red line. But of course, if you start like this, right, then you know that the parabola is symmetric about its axis, and hence any parallelogram drawn this way will have equal segments because of the symmetry of the parabola. And as long as we maintain this parallelogram that you see here, this parallelogram, okay, in other words, beginning here, this entire rectangle parallelogram, then we will have that the blue broken line is equal to the red broken line, always. And thus, the theorem is proved, okay? So, geometrically, this is how it must have been done. They must have started with a parallelogram like that, and then concluded that if the parallelogram is moved, we will still have these lines equal, and it can be confirmed by constructing these similar triangles. Okay, and they are similar because all the angles are equal, and the one side of each triangle is equal. Therefore, they turn out to be not only similar triangles, but congruent or equal triangles. Okay, so that means that also the solid blue line and the solid red line are equal, and so are the pink lines. And so from the equidissection of the parallelogram, we know that the different colored broken line segments are equal, and that actually proves this first proposition here. And of course, the converse is also true. It says that if QV is equal to VQ, this chord Q and Q prime will be parallel to the tangent at P, okay? So as long as PV is parallel to the axis of the parabola, this proposition here is true. And this is very interesting because if you consider the first example that you normally see in the new calculus, you'll see that this is a special case where m is equal to n, and I'm referring to the horizontal distances. So those of you who have studied the new calculus will realize or will know what I'm talking about. So in any case, I will continue to show you more of these very interesting propositions and try to show you how the proofs were done by the ancient Greeks. And then, of course, I'll get on to spirals and other far more interesting propositions, and if time permits, floating bodies, but that's probably way into the future. So this is very interesting geometry, and it also stimulates one to think, you know. There are many idiotic mainstream academics who claim that the Greeks didn't define tangent lines well, except to the circle. Well, that's false. They had tangent lines to all the conics as well as spirals. And so these concepts are all very well defined by the ancient Greeks. And this is how Newton also understood the concepts when he began to study his mathematics and discover interesting facts about the tangent line and its gradient. In fact, the well-known tangent line problem. Well, I could talk to you for several days on this topic, but I'm going to try and just give you some interesting points so that you can see where we got most of our knowledge about calculus. And if you ask any mainstream professor nowadays if they know the proof of these things geometrically, chances are they won't even know what the proposition is talking about, because the majority of them have never studied Euclid's Elements or the works of Archimedes, and I'd dare say that many of them don't even know what the conics of Apollonius are all about. And yet those three works are, in my opinion, the most important works in mathematics. And one should never be awarded a PhD unless one can actually pass a strenuous examination on all those books. So, very well, I'll leave it at that. And I'll hope you join me again sometime in the future. This is a new calculus channel, and my name is John Gabriel. Till next time, goodbye.